NVIDIA's RTX 3090 certainly is as sold out as the 3080, but I don't think it's very popular at all if you really look at the big scope of things. I don't think people really like it that much, and I'm going to tell you the main reasons why. I've been paying attention to the market, so let's talk about it. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Remember to subscribe, notification bell, thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Makes me happy, helps the channel grow. So let's talk about the sort of maligned RTX 3090. At first glance, it's an absolute beast of a GPU, both in terms of the size, like the Founders Edition, as well as in the performance numbers. But that's when it's sort of analyzed sort of in its own little bubble. When you put it up against the RTX 3080, it really sort of kills any vibe at all for the RTX 3090. If we look at MSRP numbers of $699 for the 3080 versus $1499 for the 3090, and then we look at the performance numbers, roughly 15 to 20% more performance for the 3090, it seriously just does not make any sense. And you would think in the current market situation that we're in that every GPU completely disappears, people would have a little bit more of a soft and friendly view of the 3090, but I really don't think that's the case. In fact, anywhere that I see people talking about the 3080, everybody is really hyped about it. People really like it. Anytime the 3090 comes into question, even ignoring stock issues and overpriced GPUs, people seem to be a lot more hesitant to be excited about it. Even though it is the best performing GPU, I think the most important thing here is value for the dollar, and compared to the 3080, that's where everything just completely goes downhill. And I've actually been looking at sort of the secondhand market where most of these have really ended up, and it's been very interesting to see. As soon as the launch happened, of course, they were all sold out. It was very difficult to find. A few people here and there, you were able to sort of go on different websites, get notifications. People were able to get it that way. A lot of them actually ended up sort of on the secondhand market. Even if they're closed, you could, Facebook Marketplace and eBay, you could see, of course, the scalpers really took advantage of the situation, and I was following sort of what was happening. I was taking a look around locally and on eBay, as well as we saw a lot of videos come out where people were showing the outrageous prices. In general, the RTX 3080, even at inflated prices where it really shouldn't be, seems like it sold out considerably faster. If you would search one day on like Facebook Marketplace, you would see a couple 3080s there, even if it was a little bit more expensive. Within usually a day or two, they seem to have sold out pretty quickly. Now, the opposite seems to have happened with the RTX 3090. Sort of when that was first released, I saw a bunch at pretty outrageous prices, like $3,000 and around there. But then something else kind of interesting happened. Those GPUs seemed to stay there, like nobody was buying them. Those GPUs pretty much seemed to stay there, like they weren't being sold, like people really weren't buying them. And it makes a lot of sense. If you have an RTX 3080 at MSRP at $700, if somebody pays a little more, they still think they're getting a fantastic deal because the 2080 Ti was, remember, $1,200. But now, if you have the RTX 3090, which is $3,000, that's going to be 4 times the price of the MSRP of the 3080. That's certainly really not worth it. So I saw over time, there was no demand really for the 3090 on this secondhand market. There really seemed to be minimal demand because the same GPUs seem to really stay there, as opposed to the 3080s, which at inflated prices seem to sell a lot faster. So these 3090s started coming down in price from $3,000 to $2,800 to $2,500. Now I've seen them for as low as $1,900, $2,000. So they certainly have come down considerably. If you consider the MSRP of $1,500, a lot of these third-party RTX 3090 cards are actually MSRP $1,700, $1,800, some of the higher end ones. I've been seeing 3090s come down extremely fast, and the premium that they command, certainly percentage-wise, seems to be considerably less than the RTX 3080 commands, just because I think to begin with, the RTX 3080 has a much better value proposition than the RTX 3090, which even at $1,500 is already a very expensive GPU. It's already a fairly bad value for the performance dollar that you're paying over the 3080. So keeping that in mind, when these are inflated even further above $2,000, nobody at all wants to buy them, and I don't blame them. It doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, when these come in stock, you're going to be looking at something you spend so much money for that really really performance-wise isn't that much more than a $700 GPU, so it really doesn't make that much sense. And I think the market is actually correcting itself with these scalpers after the initial rush of some people that maybe weren't thinking and they bought these at really high prices. I think the market is now correcting itself where the sellers are not getting the demand that they thought they would, so they have to keep lowering their prices. I've seen these go down considerably. The same GPUs are sort of available in that used market. They've been going down and down. Pretty soon, people may just sell them at pretty close to MSRP if nobody else is buying them, just because the value to performance proposition really isn't there. Now, it would certainly be a lot harder to actually see RTX 3080s getting close to MSRP on these second-hand markets, just because the demand there is so high, and even if people pay a little more to a scalper, maybe they feel that like the performance and value of the 3080 still is within like a realm of reason that they can justify it, but the 3090 is really unjustifiable at these outrageous scalper prices, and the market is certainly reflecting that. So hopefully that fixes itself and they're back down to MSRP. And that just shows you how people really don't think the RTX 3090 is going to be a GPU for them. Not to say that it's a bad GPU, but it just doesn't make any sense in terms of the value to the performance proposition. Even at its MSRP price, it doesn't make sense for pretty much all gamers. The 3080 seems to fill like 99% of that for a significant reduction in cost. So when these start going at really high prices, even less people want to buy them. So it's kind of funny that people that thought they were going to get outrageous amounts for them by scalping them, they're really kind of getting screwed here, and they're holding on to these GPUs for longer than they really want. So that means that the prices are just going to come down, and eventually I think the premium on these 3090s it's going to be fairly balanced. The 3080, of course, over time I think will also go back down close to MSRP. Right now they're still really unavailable, but as soon as we get more stock of them, I think that market's going to equal out. But it's funny how the RTX 3090 market is really sort of adjusting itself. That's certainly a good thing to see, and keep doing what you're doing. Don't overpay for these GPUs. That's going to be the best way to eventually get them at MSRP. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next video.